Hello class, today we are going to solve and graph one variable inequalities. So your essential question is, how do I solve and graph one variable inequalities? Your learning intention, I'm learning to solve inequalities. Now, one variable inequalities means they will be on a number line. You've got two warm-up questions. Pause the video and see if you can do those on your own. Well, I hope you tried. So, this one we start by distributing. 6 times 6v is 36v. 6 times 6 is 36. So it's 36v plus 36 minus 5 is equal to 1 plus 6v. Okay, next step, we have to remember that we have got to simplify both sides of the equation. So we will be working with 36 minus 5. 36v plus 36 minus 5 is 31 is equal to 1 plus 6v. Now, both sides of our equation are simplified. We can now solve. As we're looking, we've got 6v over here, 36v. 6v is smaller, so I'm going to subtract 6v from both sides. It's gone from here. 30v plus 31 is equal to 1. Next, I've got to get the 30v all by itself. I'll subtract 31 from both sides. 30v is equal to negative 30. Negative 31 plus 1 is negative 30. Divide both sides by 30. And v is equal to negative 1. Okay, on the other one, if we're looking at it, we know that we've got to get the variable by itself. I've subtracted 1, that means I need to add 1 to both sides. X squared is equal to 81. What is the opposite of squaring? Square rooting. What is the square root of 81? What number times itself is equal to 81? And that would be 9. 9 is the primary square root, but we also have a secondary square root. So this is a positive or a negative 9, because negative 9 times negative 9 also equals 81. So before we get started, we've got 4 symbols you have got to know the meaning of and how you graph them. The first one means greater than. Okay, greater than means it's not equal to. This would be an open circle. So when you get ready to graph it, you'll have that open circle. Okay, the next one means greater than or equal to. Okay, if this one's open, this one is closed. In other words, we fill it in. Okay, the next one means less than. Once again, it's not equal to, so we have that open circle. And the last one means less than or equal to. Once again, this is going to be a closed circle. Okay, when we get ready to solve inequalities, we solve them the same way we would an equality, but with just a few minor tweaks. So if we're looking at the first one, once again, we've got to get the x by itself. I've added 3. The opposite is to subtract 3. (2x) is less than 6. Okay, 2x means I've multiplied. The opposite is to divide. And x is less than 3. That means that 3 is the biggest number. If you notice, that alligator mouth goes to 3. That alligator mouth goes to 3. That means that 3 is going to be the greatest one we have. So we'll just mark 3 here. This is an open circle because it is less than, and we want all the numbers that are less than 3 highlighted. So that's the direction we're going in. Now, what are some of the numbers that are part of the solution set? Well, I could put 0. I could do -10. I could do -1000. There is an infinite number of solutions to this set. Okay, for the next one, this time we're looking at greater than or equal to. Remember, the alligator mouth goes to the number that will be the biggest. So let's solve. I'm going to add 45 to both sides. I've eliminated it here. 60 is greater than or equal to 3x. Okay, I've got to divide by 3. And 20 is greater than or equal to x. Now, what is the largest number? 20. So I'm going to put 20 here. Is it open or closed? Well, it's equal to, so it's closed. And now I'm going to highlight everything that is smaller than 20. Okay, what are some of the numbers that are part of the solution set? We'll just start down. We could do 19, 18, 0, -5. Those are all in that solution set. There's an infinite number. Okay, you still solve the same way, only this time we've got to distribute first. So as we're distributing, we do it on both sides. Let's ignore this side first. 2 times t is 2t, plus 2 times 6 is 12. Bring your symbol down, greater than or equal to. Okay, 5 times t is 5t. 5 times -3 is -15. Now both sides are simplified, and I'm ready to solve. Which side is bigger? 5t. Which variable is bigger, 5t or 2t? 5t, so I'll subtract 2t from both sides. "12 is greater than or equal to 3t minus 15. Get my numbers to the same side. I'll add 15 to both sides. "12 plus 15 is 27. Is greater than or equal to 3t. Divide by 3. "9 is greater than or equal to t. The alligator mouth goes to the biggest number. This is a closed circle because it's equal to. So 9 is going to be the biggest number. I highlight everything smaller than 9. And it goes in the negative direction. Okay. Write down 3 numbers that are part of that solution set. Any number less than 9 will work. So I could have 8, I could have 7, I could have negative 1,000. Those are all less than 9, and they're all part of the solution set. Okay, what about the next one? If we're looking at this next one is what we call an AND statement. If you notice, the variable is in the middle. So when we get done, the x will be left in the middle. So this time I have 2 lines to draw. Okay, I've subtracted 5. The opposite is to add 5. But I add 5 in all of my columns. All 3 of my columns get added 5. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2, which is less than negative 2x, which is less than or equal to 13 plus 5 is 18. Okay, now, remember how I said we just have to tweak it a little bit when we're doing inequalities? Well, one of the rules is if you divide by a negative number, it flips your sign to the other way. So I'm going to divide by negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. That means this one will now become greater than. This one will now become greater than or equal to. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. This is x. 18 divided by negative 2 is negative 9. So, if you notice, x is between negative 1 and negative 9. So here is negative 1, here is negative 9. This one is an open circle. This one is a closed circle. I'm going to highlight everything in the middle. So, what numbers are part of the solution set? Well, these will be ones like negative 2, maybe negative 5. We can go down, we could actually add negative 9 because it is part of the solution set. Negative 7 would also be, so there's a lot of them, a lot of numbers. And then you could go to negative 2.5, negative 2 3/4. So there's still an infinite number of solutions. So this is and, this is or. and is highlighted in between. Where do you think or is going to be highlighted? If you said on the outside, you would be correct. So let's get started. We'll solve one side and then the other. Okay, I'm going to add 1 to both sides here. (2x) is less than -20 because these are opposite signs, so I find their difference. 21 minus 1 is 20. Keep the sign of the larger. Now, divide by 2. X is less than -10. Okay, let's do the other one. This time I subtract 7 from both sides. -3x plus 7 is less than or equal to 28. Subtract 7 from both sides. -3x is less than or equal to 21. Now, what happens when I divide by a negative number? What happens to this? It will switch around and become greater than or equal to. X is greater than or equal to -7. So my 2 points that I have are -10 and -7. Okay, in this case, it is less. So everything -10 is the greatest. It is not equal to. Open circle. The graphing here goes to the left. Okay, here x is greater than or equal to -7. That's that closed circle. And we'll highlight everything going to the right. So some of the numbers in the solution set, well, I could have -6, or I could have -12. Any numbers except the numbers that fall in between -10 and -7 work. How about 0, 5, all of those? So, finding the answer is very easy. You just look at the numbers that are highlighted on your graph. The one thing you do need to realize that if you divide by a negative number, the symbol switches around. And that's how you solve and graph inequalities.